Bonjour.
Bonjour and welcome to Fiction After Lunch. I'm Sam, and Mindy is not here because it's almost midnight German time and Mindy is too old to stay up that late. Instead, I'm visited by a very special guest, Soap.
Hello.
Soap is an artist and writer, and we met online on a Discord through a YouTube community, basically. And in this special episode, we are going to talk about Soap's experiences with art and writing over the years. And but this podcast is called Fiction After Lunch. So my first question has to be, Soap, what did you have for lunch if you had lunch already?
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't really have lunch. I had a snack bar.
That's absolutely fine. I had noodles with egg. This this brings us to the next question, which has absolutely nothing to do with my first question. What was the first text you wrote? Was it an original or a fan fiction?
It was like some combination of the two of them, because the very first, the very first, this is jumping ahead a little bit on the questions, but the very first fandom I was in, even though I wasn't really into fandom spaces, it was Warrior Cats. And I wrote fan fiction of Warrior Cats, but like with original characters, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. So it was basically in this universe and you were making characters up yourself.
Yes.
Do you remember how old you were when you started writing?
I remember I was probably in 4th or 5th grade, which I can't remember the ages right now, but I think that was I was a little younger than 11.
Do you remember what exactly it was that motivated you to write?
Because I was super into the Warriors, and I wanted to do my own thing with that.
Okay.
I also daydreamed a lot, and so I finally started putting all those daydreams onto paper.
That sounds very cute. I think it's probably similar to most of us. Which fandoms are your... So Warrior Cats were your first fandoms. What else did you like during that time?
I was a filthy Homestuck, and I was obsessed with Homestuck.
I never really found out what it was about. I only saw ever those obscure Tumblr posts.
Yeah. Oh god,
Okay.
I don't even know where to start with what it's about. That's definitely I literally don't know how to explain it. I haven't touched it in years. I just really was into it. And I wrote a lot of, again, with the OC fan fiction again.
Okay, I see. And what are your current fandoms?
Again, with the OC fan fictions, I was really into Steven Universe. I wrote a lot of OC stuff for that. Steven Universe was like the last media cartoon that I was super into. Now I focus more on my own characters and stuff.
What do you think has changed for you over time regarding writing style or topic?
I've definitely I definitely go with more. No, I've always kind of had. I was gonna say I have more mature themes in it, but to be honest, I always had some I wasn't always sunshine and rainbows with my stories and stuff, especially reading Warriors. I was introduced to the more heavier themes early on.
It's basically the same for us.
Yeah.
Because in this podcast we're reading fiction we wrote when we were very young. We didn't have the how do I say this? We had very violent and bloody stories.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah. Not other stuff, not other adult stuff, but always very violent. That was what we wrote when we were younger.
Yeah. I did quite a bit of role play when I was younger as well. That was more late middle school and early high school. I had a friend who was cool with doing roleplay, and that's how we developed a lot of my characters. And there was definitely more violence in that.
Very interesting. I've never done roleplay.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. But now it takes more for me. I have to find the right person to roleplay with, because if I'm not comfortable with the person, it's really hard to get into roleplay with them.
For those who don't know, and I'm assuming Mindy wouldn't know, what exactly does roleplay mean?
Okay. It means like it's like I want to say text-based LARPing, but that's probably not really well known either. It's like it's writing back and forth, where one person writes like a sentence or a paragraph, and then the other person writes it, and then it goes back and forth like that.
So basically, you're making the story up as you go.
Yeah.
It sounds interesting.
Sometimes you do kind of have a set storyline of like what's going to happen, but then you can just you can make the characters' reactions up as you go. But I definitely did a lot of no storyline. We're just making it up as we go when I was younger.
Like a very good practice for getting the voices right when you write. Interesting. So that's a hard question. What have you learned during time?
What have I learned, like over my writing and that kind of stuff?
Yes.
I've gotten better at developing characters and developing plot, and I'm better at writing out the the plot line first instead of just writing and making it up as I go. So similar to like the role play, as like I definitely wrote a lot just random stuff, and I didn't really have a idea of what I was going for, and I was making it up as I went along. But now it's a bit more, what I write is a bit more cohesive.
Do you have any tips for beginners, in case any young children are listening to this E-rated podcast?
I mean, just write whatever, really. I mean, I wrote just random, even start with like trying to put together pieces of dreams, and just let whatever randomness happened in your dream, try to make a story out of it, like a proper storyline. Or just write your dreams and just let the randomness kind of go. Because I write my dreams all the time, and I've turned like some weird dreams into like part of my main OC's story.
I'd like to talk about one of those dreams, if you're comfortable with it.
Yeah. I would say like my superheroes, like I haven't talked much with you about my superhero OCs, but like the whole reason that their designs and like the way they got their powers, it all came from like one dream I had a couple of years ago.
Okay, what dream about exactly?
I might actually have it written down in a document. I would check real quick.
Yeah, of course.
Because I know like what the actual dream was about, and the whole and like what happened in the actual dream kind of is muddled a little bit after years of writing stuff for the characters and just like expanding on the dream. I would say, from what I remember, because I didn't write down exactly what I dreamt about, but from what I remember, it was the three main characters finding these gems that came from space that gave them their powers, and about one of their dad being this rich guy who worked with the government and who helped them get trained, and then the design for the main female with the powers. Her design, like she has this big golden crest on her chest that's like bigger than her head, and that came from the dream as well.
Have you also drawn them?
Yeah, I have. I can send them to you. I don't know if you would like to see them or not.
Yes, I would.
So here's the main three. So you can see the golden crest on her chest. Those are kind of older art. Here's another of their full design, and here is her again that I did in a proper drawing program that wasn't paint.
Okay. Can you explain a bit more what I'm exactly seeing? Because after all, it's a podcast, and I don't really know how to show it.
So there's three of them, and one of them has like silver and blue. One of them is gold and red, and one of them is green and bronze. And I've drawn them both their actual faces and like their masked look, the way they look when they have their masks on.
See, one of them can fly.
Yeah, she got like telekinesis powers.
That's cool.
Yeah. She got telekinesis powers. She's red and gold. Blue and silver got like speed and got speed, and green and bronze got strength, like improved physical ability as well. Two of them got improved physical ability, and she got improved mental ability.
Okay. And in the last picture, it's the one in the middle again, right?
Yeah, that's the golden red one.
Do they also have names?
Yeah. Do you want to know their full name? I do have all that stuff written down.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
If you want to share.
Yeah, I'm okay with sharing. So red and gold is Annie. Her like code name / superhero name is Crescent, based on the big gold crescent thing on her chest. Blue and silver is named Dylan, and his code name is Blink. And green and bronze is named Crook. Or no, that's his code name. Sorry, his real name is Edward. I'll send you the whole document later so you can kind of have a look at that universe.
Thank you.
We don't have to talk about the whole thing on the podcast unless you are into that. But that's got basically all of their information, and like I had a comic idea for them, but I only drew the very first page of the comic, and then I never put it on the computer. I think I have an actual picture of the comic somewhere, but I never finished it.
That's very cool. So you're also drawing comics?
Yes. Well, I concepted a comic. I wouldn't say I actually drew the comic.
Ah.
I don't do comics very much anymore.
I'm looking at the document right now that you sent to me.
Yeah.
And I like that you made a list of, how do you say it, of things about them. That you wrote down what is their powers and their personality.
Yeah.
And I like for Annie, you have the super persona Angry.
Yeah.
It's funny.
She's definitely a bit more brash and hard-headed when she's got the costume on. She's more timid when she's not, but like when she's got the mask and she's got her powers, she feels more confident, and she can just be more brash and aggressive with with like enemies and other people.
And for Sapphire, the super persona is Smug.
Yeah, like he's kind of. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't touched these in a while. Like I haven't edited or this stuff in a little while, but so I don't exactly remember why he's smug, but I just know he's a bit like they all are a bit more confident when they're in their superhero when they've got the mask on, and because they're all kind of younger and they're all a bit they're all awkward high schoolers. And so when they've got their mask on and their powers, they feel more confident and more powerful. That was more like what I was going for.
And now I'm looking at the last picture you sent to me. Can you explain a little more what I'm seeing?
The powerful one?
Yeah.
I think it all just ties back into the idea that they're all more confident. I mean, he kind of obviously has to hold back how strong he actually is when he's not in the costume, or like when he's not got his identity hidden. And so he's meant to be the strongest out of the three of them, just based off like what the amulets have empowered them for.
Now I'm also understanding where the name's coming from, because Ruby and Sapphire and such are names of gems, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm a bit slow. It's late at night right now.
No, I understand.
Okay. Can you tell us a bit more about the first original characters you made? Do you remember more about the Warrior Cats characters?
A little bit. I know we had some fun with those. There were a lot of. Let me see what I have here for Warriors in my Google Docs. Oh my gosh, it has been so freaking long since I've touched these. I will copy the link and send them to you again. It looks like I've only got 3 of them written down. Like these are ones that weren't just like Sona's for me, because I definitely have some that are just me.
Okay, this is adorable. So first you have a character named Applefur.
Yeah.
Her age is 35 moons.
Yeah.
How long would be a moon?
A moon is 1 month.
Ah, from full moon back to full moon, for example.
Yeah.
I see.
That was how we aged the warrior cats back in the day. This document, I just for reference, the last edit to this document was in 2018.
I mean, I want to say it's not that long ago.
No, it's not, but that was my I was 17. I don't know if I should say I'm saying my age. I don't care. I was still in high school, and it's just weird to think about that is what I was really into, even though I was still a high schooler, because I was into it like since elementary school, since I was pretty young. I was obsessed with these cats.
Friends of mine like them, but I never read the books. What is like the concept of the book? Is it just cats fighting each other who are also warriors?
It's a little bit of that, yes. It's like these cats are in like a well, I won't. Well, let me think. Hold on. How do I explain? I don't know how to explain what I'm into. They're in a human's world, but they're still like these. There's these 4 tribes basically of cats that live close to each other, and they're kind of like they're in constant like strife with each other, but also trying to have harmony with each other. And they all have like very different. Even though they're all pretty close, they all have very different like areas that they live in. So one of them lives near, like, learns how to fish. One of them learns how to hunt birds. Some of them learn how to, like, live near human trash and hunt rats. And some of them learn, like, how to live on a more plains area and hunt rabbits. Just, like, that's the best way to describe the way that the 4 main differences between them. And yeah, there's also this whole other thing where they have like a spirit realm plot of cats. It's wild.
Okay. I really enjoy looking at those pictures of cats.
Me too.
Do you remember how you chose them?
I mean, I know. The last one I actually drew myself a while ago, but I just kind of was thinking of like, what would this name of the cat, what would it kind of look like to fit the name?
What was the name?
For like Applefur, I kind of picked a fluffier reddish cat. I just thought that would fit Apple for like being more fluffy. And then this one's named Pinetail, and he's like a sleek gray cat, but he's kind of got stripes on his tail.
And I really like the green eyes of the cat you drew last.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so those were your first original characters.
Yeah.
Do you have any current original characters you like to talk about?
I mean, we talked a little bit about the yeah, I'm alright with talking about that. We talked a little bit about the Astrials, although I haven't really messed with them for a while. You've seen a little bit of what I've been drawing lately. I have this whole other special universe of it's a very big OC universe that I need to properly write things. I've been looking at websites that would help me organize my characters a little bit. I'm thinking I'm going to, what is the name of this website? I think I'm going to use notebook.ai, because I did use it a couple of years ago, but I really want to expand on like these OCs and maybe do something with them.
Okay.
Oh god, how do I explain this? They are, so they're called, I've basically called where they live the Cloud Kingdom. And it's like another dimension, and it's a couple. It's one. It started out as just one cloud floating in this void world, and at the same time that this sort of came, like this world sort of blinked into existence, it created a well, two were created. One who could weave light into things, and one who could weave shadows into something, like into life almost. And I focused more on developing the light weaver rather than the shadow one. She slowly creates more islands and more life in her world, and um, eventually creates like her 4 children that each are given a special ability to help her create and lead this kingdom of life she's created.
But I do like how organized you are. You have lists for everything, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, because otherwise it all just floats around in my head.
I've never done this. I've been writing for years and I've never managed to sit down and just write all those details you do have to remember about your characters.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Never
nice to
done.
have all these details written down. What I need to do is I've been writing them down in like Discord chats. I've been doing long rambles in Discord chats to people. And I thought I started doing it, but I guess I never did. I need to start copy and pasting what I've rambled about into documents and organizing that.
Even more organization.
Yes. So that way when somebody asks me about the characters, I can open the doc and be like, here is information about them so I don't have to repeat myself.
One time, at one time exactly, Mindy and I sat down and drew a timeline on her whiteboard.
Oh my.
But we put all the characters into this timeline. It got a bit chaotic,
Yeah.
but it was the only time I ever wrote down details about any character.
Oh man, I love writing down the details of these characters and like getting into like ideas of what they could do with their time and kind of stuff. And how they interact with other characters. Just,
Yeah, I imagine it helps to find out more about your characters and make them a bit more dimensional.
yes. I really do want to do something with them and like writing wise. I have like a plot laid out, but it would be a lot of writing because there's so much about them.
Do you want to tell me more about the plot?
Yeah, I do. I have another Google document.
Okay.
So it's changed a little bit from like this original doc. Like my idea of what they've looked like even what they've looked like has changed a little bit since when I wrote this doc. But let me see how much of it is similar. Like in the original version of it, they the 4 that were made to help her had a dad, but I decided to make it so it was just the mother who created them. And then later on, she finds a human man when she leaves the dimension, who she falls in love with, and that kind of becomes their dad in like a stepdad way. So because of that, I changed the way they looked, so they all kind of look like the mother instead of looking like a father because they don't have one biologically.
This sounds very interesting.
Yes. This woman who was created with her dimension, who can weave light, she eventually figured I'm not sure exactly how this part of it works, but eventually there's a dimension opening where she's able to briefly pass into the main human world and just explore, and she just kind of explores that, and she gets a lot of like inspiration from our world because the animals she creates, they're not like our animals because of the fact that they're made of they're essentially made of light, even if they're not completely light based after they've been created. But they're just not like our animals because they haven't evolved nature, like they don't have evolved fear of things, and they don't have an evolved just nothing has been evolved, they've all been created. So our worlds, just everything in our world acts so different than things in the Cloud Kingdom does. I could go on for ages about this, by the way. So
I'm not stopping you. You can go on as much as you like.
I know, I'm just letting you know that I will go on for ages about these guys.
It's okay. Please feel free to do so.
And she is like she's ages older than like any human or anything else. She's her life is basically eternal.
What was her name again?
Her name is Rachel, and she's considered the queen of her dimension because of the fact she basically created all life in it.
How many dimensions are there?
I'm not really. I haven't settled on one yet, like on a number yet, because in this universe there's also a canonical heaven and hell because there's demons and angels that run around. So I haven't really decided on like where I'm drawing a line of what I can and can't add to this universe. But this is like the only universe like this. Like it's the only dimension that exists that was created and only has cloud and light benders and shadow and creatures that can create themselves or create other life. So it's a unique thing that exists.
I have to ask because I really like angels and demons. How do you imagine them? Are they more like biblical style, or do you imagine them more human-like?
A mix of both, for sure. Lower ranking angels take on a more human appearance to not spook, because they're the ones who interact with humans more, so they don't want to spook the humans. But like higher up, that mostly stay in heaven or that battle demons, they tend to look a bit more wild. And the same thing goes with demons. Is like the ones that come to Earth, they have a mostly human appearance, besides maybe having horns and a tail to like differentiate each other or just to look cool. And then more hellish demons, or the ones that stay in hell or that have more power, tend to look a bit more inhuman.
So you were talking about how they live on clouds,
Yes.
the people. Do the angels have higher up clouds where they live, or?
Well, it's a different dimension, so it's like an endless void kind of. And so where they exist, there's no heaven or hell. So they're because they're not human, and heaven and hell is a human thing sort of. And so they're not aware of angels and demons for a very long time. And because they're made out of light, they don't have souls quite simply, because they're not human. Obviously, when I say these things, these aren't reflections of my actual beliefs. This is my imaginary universe.
Yeah, of course.
I just want to make that clear. But yeah, so they're because they're made out of light, and they're created by the queen. The queen is basically their god or goddess. And so that's why it's always weird when she leaves the dimension and interacts with humans or other creatures that live in our dimension, because she's I think ethereal is the right word, but she's also not ethereal. She's doing her own thing.
Wait, no, ethereal means something else, doesn't it?
Sorry,
no.
I have to
my English vocabulary.
Extremely delicate and light in a way that seems too perfect for this world. So I did use it right.
Okay.
When humans interact with her, she's obviously, physically, she's very tall. I haven't decided if she's 9 or 10 feet, but she is extremely tall, and she's very thin, and she has this very long, whitish hair and crystal blue eyes, and she very much does not look human, even though she does look human. She has a very light glow to her skin as well.
Glowing.
Yes. She's a very fun character to design. She's the one with the big hat.
The one with the big hat?
I will send send pictures.
Okay.
Big hat.
No. I see her. She has a very big head.
Yes.
Very pretty.
Yes, thank you. She wears this very. She also has very light skin, and she has this long, very light blue dress on that I would like that drags behind her as she walks. That kind of dress, and she has this very big light blue hat. She wears she likes to wear white pearls and white feathers. Pearls and feathers are something that she discovered in the human world, and the ones that she's created more birds that can drop white feathers for her world, but a lot of the pearls that aren't real pearls because they're just created by her for aesthetic purposes. She would wear the real pearls though, because she's like, or very important family members would receive something with a pearl on it to wear, or high-ranking citizens receive gifts from her that have pearls and real feathers from the human world.
Does she have a favorite bird?
She quite enjoys owls and peacocks.
Of course.
Yeah.
Peacocks do have the best feathers.
They really do. She likes the way that real, I say real, so they're like owls from our dimension. She likes the way they act and just the way their eyes look. She's recreated them to be pets for her, but they're not the same as real owls to her. It's like she can sense the difference of like a natural owl and one that's made just to be almost they almost are robotic, and just you can kind of tell that they're not real, or like they're not alive in the same way our owls are.
Is it the same thing for when she creates humans?
Well, because she gives them so much of herself. She's able to create them. The very first ones she created are just they're servants in her castle, and they don't really have details or features, and they're like animals. They don't have the learning ability. But as she gets better at creating them, she creates more detailed humans who begin interacting with each other and learning from each other. And so, like, as she creates newer ones, they become more, what's the right word? More detailed and more intelligent and more real, I guess. And they don't have the eternal lifespan she does, but they do live very long lives.
This is very interesting because you still have this element of evolution without having evolution.
Yeah.
I like this.
And a lot of the early ones, and her children especially, are made in her image. But they do eventually become, as she experiences new things, she makes them look more unique and more different. So, like, any eye color besides that crystal blue that I'm only giving to the royal family to help distinguish them, and the hair color, they can have any hair color, any eye color. Although eye color, she tends to, when she gives them the gift of like a power of light or fire, she gives them a matching eye color to help like identify them, or just to show what their power is. And she gives them any hair color, any skin color. Although they still look human, they're still not human.
You have so many details.
Yeah, oh yes. I mean, I've had these OCs forever. Like since, let me think. I've had them since middle school, I'd say, and I've had a lot of time to think about them and like refine how I want their world to exist, how I want them to be. And this is just talking about her and the actual Cloud King, like the actual world she lives in. There's whole stories inside of stories that I could tell about her children and her children's children.
Children can also create new life, or do they do it the traditional way?
They don't. They don't have that same ability she does. Even though I say that, but they have it limited. She tried to give one of her daughters the same ability, but it's not the same amount of power. She can create flora and fauna. Her daughter can create flora and fauna and plants and stuff, but she can't get creatures right.
Okay.
And one of her sons has like water and cloud manipulation, but he prefers, instead of using his powers, he prefers to do technical stuff and like learn how to learn both human technologies and create technologies from what they have in their dimension.
To hear more about the technologies.
It's their technology is a mix of like magical and tech. They have very limited resources, so their tech, they usually trade with humans to get more, like to bring things into their world.
For example, would a phone work in your world?
It would work in the sense that it would turn on. You wouldn't get any signal or Wi-Fi there.
Ah, so no internet.
No, they don't have that kind of thing. Well, because they don't have satellites.
Okay, this makes sense.
Yeah. They don't have a space, really. They just have their... They don't realize it, but they are in like a... It's like the universe is basically a sphere. And there is a light source, but it's not a sun in the actual sense. It's more of just a ball of light in the sky that moves sometimes. And because below them they have an eternal void, and just it's like it feels endless to them because they can't really explore it, because it's just the cloud is the only place to land. So if they went too far, they would probably die before they found the edge of the sphere, or they would run out of fuel and fall into the void.
I like spheres best.
Me too.
But second place are turtles.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, like there's not like a radiation going on where the phone would malfunction or anything. Although it is rather, because they don't have a proper sun and they don't have a proper atmosphere, to humans it's very chilly there. Like it's a very cold place to be, and usually if a human were to visit, they would want to bundle up.
So I'm assuming they also have different plants than we have.
Yeah. There are plants that they enjoy from our world, and that they've built special gardens that they can grow, like rose flower, like the flower of the rose, that they can grow in their world, and also some other flowering plants. But generally, most plants that come from our world would not survive because of the cold and just from the cold alone.
What do they eat?
I haven't decided so much if they need to eat, but I feel what I've kind of come to the conclusion of is that if they create more, they create life and then they eat that life, that it will help their powers like regenerate faster. So like they could survive in their world without needing to consume, but consuming helps like enrich their powers that they have. If that
Make
makes
a fish and then they would eat the fish.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. But it's
also,
not like
their food would be very, very bland because she doesn't have a reference of like taste until she tries human food. So their food would be very bland for a long time. And even then, it's very hard to recreate when she creates plants and stuff. It's very hard for her to recreate taste.
I would not like that. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. I mean, I think if I get too into like talking about the other like her children and the other characters, I'll lose my mind because I'll just get really into it.
Maybe you could lose your mind a little bit. Who of her children would be your favorite?
One of her daughters, probably. She chose her own name, and she chose the name Rose based off of the human's flower.
It's a great name. I use it all the time as well.
She's definitely one of my favorites. I've probably written the most for her out of the 4 siblings, besides her mother, and then not her mother including. She's definitely my favorite of the 4 siblings.
What does she look like?
She looks very similar to her mother. She's a little shorter. Here, I will send you a picture. Where is she? That's her in her like her formal wear. She has much fluffier hair than her mother, but it's about as long.
Oh, I remember her. You sent that before.
Yes. She likes big puffy clothes. She
Me
really
too.
likes the princess aesthetic.
Yeah. She has a very fluffy and pink dress and very fluffy hair, and she smiles.
Yes. She's the one who can create plants and who does a lot involving the nature of the islands. Like that's part of her job that her mother created her for, is to help make sure the ecosystem on the islands is good and working.
So there are several islands.
Yes. By the time that the story really like where it gets to current times, there are 6 islands, and there's the center island, which where the whole royal family lives, and where like their main castle is, and where some of the civilians who have been around the longest live. And then the second largest island is full of farms and plants, and there's very few actual Cloudians living on this island because it's meant to be more of a wild life reserve and some mild farming. And then the third island, or like the third smallest island, the third largest island is home of one ancient family who bends light and uses light in. Oh, you know what I haven't talked about at all? The fact that there's basically monsters that come up from the void.
Yes,
Can't
that
believe
sounds like something important.
Yes. And so the Shadow Weaver, the Shadow Weaver and the Light Weaver have no knowledge of the other. And so the Shadow Weaver creates basically monstrosities that fly up into the light, but then get angry about they don't really fly up into the light, but they're very destructive beings. She doesn't realize like that there's anybody else. She just creates her creatures and they fly away. And she doesn't like the Shadow Weaver just has no concept of what's going on. Besides like, ooh, I've created something new. Bye-bye. And so she doesn't know what she's doing. But they fly out and they attack the islands because they want to destroy everything in their path. When they come up when the light's out, they cling to the bottom of the island and wait until the ball of light dims for a little while, and then they attack. And so because of this, that's why the queen started giving the people powers to defend themselves and each other. And the most prolific powers are powers of light bending and powers of fire creation, because that's what hurts the shadows. So on the third largest island is the home of the Lystriels. They bend light, and they're like a warrior family that's been around for a very long time. And then the fourth largest island is home of the Adriels, which they bend fire, and they've been around almost as long as the light benders or the light warriors. And then Island 5 is an island primarily made of rock and other like specific like rock. I say rock, but it's in marble, and their special stone that only forms in their dimension from her powers. Or like it's a crystal more so than a rock. But there's an island made just for collecting these resources, and it's only added on to collect more resource. And I haven't really developed Island 6 yet.
And surrounding those islands is water?
Yeah, water in the form of a cloud. And so like the cloud is like the outer shell of the island, and then inside of the cloud is either stone or dirt or whatever that makes up the actual island.
To me, it does make sense.
Okay.
I like the thing about the shadow creatures. A little bit of drama.
Yeah. So it's not so perfect in their perfect little world.
Yeah, it never is. And basically, the plot then follows this fight between the people and the shadow creatures.
Yes. These
Huh?
random
Okay.
attacks. And eventually I was gonna do a thing where somebody falls just in the right spot, like they fall off the island in just the right way, or they land in the Shadow Weaver's how do I put this, like net/web, so they don't die when they fall. And that's how, and because they're able to, this one is able to manipulate light, they're able to create light in this void and see what the Shadow Weaver actually looks like.
Wow.
And I have a drawing of the Shadow Weaver somewhere. So that's what she looks like. Or that's the concept of what she looks like. She doesn't look human the way that the way that Rachel does.
Oh. She does have more than 2 arms.
Yes. She only has arms as well. She's kind of based off
Oh.
like a spider a little bit.
This is very scary to me. Okay.
Sorry.
No, I'm fine. But oof,
She's meant to be
hands
very
is weird.
spooky, yes.
Yeah, very spooky indeed. I mean, we can't put it on Spotify to show to anyone, but we will bring out an YouTube episode sooner or later. And if you're okay with this, we can show some of these.
Yeah. That's fine.
And okay, cool. We show all of them. And
Her appearance is like, it looks like woven rope, almost. Think of Sackboy, or the little sack people from Little Big Planet. That's what I referenced.
okay. No, it's even more scarier. Okay.
I'm sorry.
And on the right side of the last painting, the person in yellow is the one that fell down.
Yes.
What does this person have in their hand?
It was meant to be like a staff.
Okay. So they will fight.
Well, she's obviously terrified of what she sees, and she thinks she needs to fight it. And the Shadow Weaver doesn't really know how to act around anyone, so she just kind of acts really weird, and so she keeps thinking that they're gonna fight, but then they, like the Cloudian keeps thinking that they're gonna fight, but they don't.
Okay. The spider person looks surprised.
Well, yeah, she never had anything alive come down there.
I kind of ship them now.
Understandable.
Well, okay. We talked for an hour.
Yeah.
And do you have anything you really want to say right now?
I don't think so. I think I've talked to my little heart's content.
Okay, that's great. Since my friend Mindy is editing this episode and she can't be here today because she needs her sleep, she wanted me to ask you, what is your opinion on Mindy, although you never saw her or heard her?
She seems very nice if she's friends with you.
That's the correct answer.
Yeah.
I think we can end it here. Do you want to promote yourself anywhere listeners can follow you, look at your art and stuff?
Yes, on most social medias like Instagram, Twitter, and Ko-Fi. My username is Spaced Out Soap. One word, all lowercase. Spaced Out Soap. And maybe I'll give you my link.
Oh yeah, Linktree would be best. We will put it under the episode.
Okay.
And yeah, our Twitter is Fiction and Lunch. Twitter is my least favorite social media, by the way. Instagram, Tumblr, Patreon, YouTube, we are Fiction After Lunch. And Google Mail is fictionafterlunch@gmail.com. And I just received the Linktree. Thank you very much. And yeah, Patreon would be for a new microphone because we're still recording on our phone like professionals. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for being my first special guest on the podcast. And thank you very much for having a nice conversation with me. I enjoyed it very much. It was very interesting. Thank you.
Very fun. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And for the podcast, goodbye. And I'll talk to you after the podcast.
Okay.